Hey everyone, this is the Horizons Editors Roundtable for the week of September, what are we into, 15th? 15th, September 15th, and this is my hair. Tonight on the Roundtable we have me, Jared Claff, Ian Hoops, Nikki Fauch, Mary Q. Burton, Zach Hester, Eric McGuffin, and Greg Dassel. Tonight we'll be discussing the effects of overcoverage in national media, specifically talking about places like CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or any of those other major networks that tend to overcover things like presidential elections, even Hurricane Ike, where people are becoming kind of fatigued with it and really don't care, even though they probably should move or else bad things might happen to them. So, that's my introduction. You guys, fill in. Anyone?
I love television. I watch it all the time.
That's good.
Sometimes. I don't know. That's what am I talking about? Yeah. I mean, that's what cable news networks are all about. I mean, that's all they do is news all day. So obviously there's going to be some overlap. You know, minor things don't get covered on cable news networks, major cable news networks. They just don't cover minor things. So, and you know, when they go over in one news program and then, you know, your pundit has to do it in their news program and then O'Reilly has to do it on his news program.
And tell everyone to shut up.
And, well, I mean, whatever. I mean, that's O'Reilly's style. He has to be commanding and that's fine. That's his style. But that's besides the point.
Well, nobody sits around and watches CNN, you know, for hours a day. It's supposed to be like check in. You know? That's what a 24-hour news program should be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not necessarily about the 24-hour news aspect to it. I mean, that part of it is important. But how long have we been covering Hurricane Ike or Tropical Storm Ike? Now, granted, you know, when it hit Cuba, right?
You thinking of Gustav?
I think it just seems like we've been covering it forever because it was like, they went from like Gustav to Hannah and then to Ike. And it's just like, you're tired of it, you're over it, it's done, it's a hurricane, woo.
It's easy to say when you don't live.
Okay, true. If I was affected, yeah, I mean, if I was affected by it, then it would be important to me, but since I'm not, it's not important to me.
Well, that's part of the point, too. On CNN's website today, they actually talked about how they were afraid that covering it so much, some of the officials in the Galveston area were talking about so much coverage may have actually driven some of the people who are staying there to stay where they are because they think that the media is making a bigger deal of it than it really is going to be. And that's a risk that they seem to be willing to take.
As far as that goes, if there's a hurricane approaching your position and you're stupid enough to think that the media is going to lie about the hurricane to make, I mean, maybe they would, but why is the media going to be like, oh, hurricane's a big deal? Oh, they're making a big deal out of it. We'll just stay where the hurricane is and is going to murder us. If you're that stupid, then that's your problem.
I'm sure a lot of people thought that way before Katrina, but after Katrina, I don't think
well,
that.
and you know, the problem with that is if they lived in, you know, the southern tip of Florida or they lived in an island in the Caribbean or something like that, they would never think that way.
Yeah.
It takes, you know, hundreds of people being murdered and your town being destroyed for, you know, oh, what is it, 3 years now for someone to care about it, so whatever.
But what about things like elections or other politically driven stories? You always hear about voter fatigue this time of year, right before elections in November, where people just don't care anymore because they've seen so much of it on television, not only through ads, but also through constant coverage. I mean, how much have we seen of Sarah Palin, Barack Obama, John McCain, Joe Biden, all of them? I mean, how many times have we seen that on television? How many people still care? I mean, is it driving people to not care about it anymore?
I know I don't. I mean, I think part of the problem is if you have a 24-hour news station, I mean, I know you're not talking about that specifically, but the problem is you've got 4 or 5 stories that you're going to cover every single hour because it is a, you know, a cyclical thing. So you may have caught that first person, but at probably every 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to recap the top stories. And that's what makes it, to me, is what makes it seem like every time you turn on the news, it's the same stuff over and over again. I mean, that's part of it.
Is that a problem with developing stories then? Because you see that a lot too, where they'll say, hey, we just caught wind of this, we're going to keep you posted on this. And they keep you posted on it every 10 minutes.
Here's the problem. And we live in a country where this will never change, but media is commercial in this country. News media is commercial in this country. You're going to run what gets the most ratings so you can charge more for advertising.
Exactly.
If that means running the same story over and over again, or, you know, in the case of, what was it, 2 years ago when Anna Nicole Smith died, running a story about that on CNN, if it gets you ratings, you can charge more for advertising. Hell's yeah, you're going to do it. Because that makes you more money, and you know, you can pay your employees more, or you can pocket more of it. You know, you can do whatever you like. So. I think I need to go to the bathroom.
Go ahead.
Just go.
It's
I'm
cool.
sorry.
I mean, don't go there. Go in
It's
the
no big
bathroom.
deal. Did you get that?
She had letters on her butt.
It's inappropriate.
Weird.
I mean, I think that commercialism is kind of what burns everybody out. Because like, if they were repeating stories, if they weren't repeating stories, they were covering the same subject all the time, but going in depth, then I don't think people would get burned out. But like, everything's so superficial, the coverage is, and so it's a repetition of information, not the subject, with new information.
But how much, you know, that's the problem is how much more information are we getting? I mean, you know where a candidate stands on just about everything. And all these stories come out, you know, with whatever it may be. You know, somebody spoke at such and such place. Okay. But did he say something different, you know, than what he's been saying? I mean, everybody knows where the candidates stand. And at a certain point, you're just saying, all right, we've heard what you had to say. I'm tired of hearing it.
And not only that, but how much of what's reported is speculation as well.
Yeah, and how much is the reporter's opinion coming out in that story?
Exactly.
Know?
There's so much that's up in the air that's not concrete fact that they do report on as if it were fact.
Well, that's becoming the nature of news as well, news media, with the fact that people can carry cell phones and computers and things out into the field where they are. You're going to get the most minute, you know, banal things that you can possibly pick up because someone's going to type it in. You know, for example, when Apple had their conference on Tuesday to announce their new iPods and things, on websites they have people live blogging it. And when Jobs said, there's a new iPod Nano, so we'll type there's a new iPod Nano. It comes in green. It comes in green. It comes in blue. It comes in blue. It actually comes in 8 different colors. It comes in 8 different colors. And it would pop up on the screen each time. And people were like, look at the screen. So as that stuff becomes even more accessible and people can just do whatever they want, you're going to get the most minute, boring things like, hey, Sarah Palin got a new pantsuit. You know.
No, she wears skirts.
She wears skirts, whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't wear pantsuits.
It's important.
Doesn't keep her from being a hug.
Well, anyways,
Go ahead.
it's cool.
I think we'll need a new taping location.
That's the end of our roundtable this week. Thank you guys for joining us, and sorry for the interruptions. But anyway, hope you guys have a good weekend, because I know we're going to. You guys have a good one.